This is WNUT Talk on the WNUT Radio Network. You are listening to WNUT Talk here on the WNUT Radio Network. You might be listening on like Live 365, where this show debuts weekdays at 4. We also, run classics from the WNUT Talk archive, or you might be listening to it on any podcast network that you prefer. You might be checking it out on like Spotify or Amazon or Apple or even YouTube on the WNUT YouTube channel. And on WNUT Talk, we just talk about whatever the hell we feel like. It might be the myriad of lead singers that Black Sabbath has had, or you might find us doing a roundtable discussion where we ruin your favorite movies and TV shows, because, we sometimes take some pleasure in shit like that. Well, today I've got kind of a special one. I have made some guest appearances on a podcast that a dear friend of mine hosts in the past, where we've discussed everything from He-Man to bizarre movies and more He-Man. And that podcast is called Hailey Hates Everything. And it's hosted by my dear friend Hailey, who hates a lot of things and likes to discuss them and bring them to your attention so that you might hate them as well. Maybe join in and, bring the hatred together like a Care Bear stare, sort of. I've got her here on WNUT Talk today. What is up, Hailey?
Hi, I love the Care Bear stare analogy. Yeah. I really like that.
It's like strength in numbers, strength in hating things in numbers,
Yeah.
So the more people you bring along on your journey of hating silly shit, it gains power, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So I figured for people who might not know, now if you've been listening to the flagship WNUT show, Hailey, who we have often described as Hailey from the beautiful Pacific Northwest, she's chimed in on several things that we've talked about through the years, some of our topics of note, some of our questions of the episode. You've heard her contribute there, but you've never heard her, live and in person. You've never heard her voice, at least not to my... Am I forgetting? Did you send some audio at one point? I think you did.
I did send some audio. Those were pretty fun. I hurt my hip. That was one of them.
Oh, that's right. You did the, when you celebrated at winning a game with your friends, and that was, I think, Carl's question about things that made you realize you're aging faster than you might like to admit. But so for the people who might not have heard Hailey Hates Everything, tell us a little bit about your show and kind of what inspired you to get into podcasting and to bring that particular approach to the people and to let them hear you ruminate on these things that you hate so much.
Well, it's just something that comes very naturally to me. I spend a lot of time at home. Well, not a lot of time, okay? Mm-hmm. But I spend a lot of time kind of ranting about stuff here and there. And it usually very much entertains my husband, who is my co-host on the podcast. And we always would say, we're going to talk about that on the podcast. That's something we're talking about on the podcast. And then we ended up naming it, even though it wasn't a thing. And then we thought, why aren't we doing it?
So the podcast was a hypothetical thing for a while, at least.
Yeah, it was just an inside joke.
Yeah.
And then we realized we could do it if we wanted to.
Yeah.
So we did. But our thing is that I don't know the topics that are coming up. And they're usually a surprise unless it's a movie or something that we've watched. And then I get really high and then we talk about it. So that makes it way more fun for me, too.
What are some of your most favorite topics that you've discussed and thus hated on your show?
Well, I think my favorite episode would be the one entitled Every Blowy Begins with Zales. It's about small talk, which I absolutely hate. And I like that one because we kind of acted out some scenarios and, it was more interactive in that way, which I really enjoyed. There's one about children's books. We talked about life hacks and hair removal and butt plugs even. So there's a lot of things all over the place. We'll talk about anything.
A little bit of everything. And for people who might not have known you quite as long as I have, there was a time when Hailey discussing some some of these topics would have blown my freaking mind, that she's putting this stuff out there and letting the world know how she feels about a thing like butt plugs, for example. The fact that you have done that, do you feel that that has helped you kind of get over some of your shyness, some of your anxieties that you talk about on the show? Has that sort of helped you kind of break those barriers in a way?
It has. It has been a really helpful exercise in speaking up, because that I wasn't allowed to have an opinion as a kid, and that really kind of sticks with you.
Yeah.
So speaking up, having an opinion, being silly, and not questioning myself so much. It's definitely helpful. Just kind of helping me relax into who I am more.
Yeah. And to kind of not question things, just sort of go with it, be who you are. And people out there are pretty much what I find is being real is something that people respond to and people relate to. And so we tend to worry too much about like, well, is my personality type going to bother people? Is the things that I talk about or the things that I like going to be something that people aren't interested in? But 9 times out of 10, it's just if you're out there kind of being real and being unapologetically yourself, that is usually what people respond to. And you'll find an audience of people who like who you are for you. And then, all the other stuff is just kind of nuance in between. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So like some of the things that you don't hate, for example, you don't hate boy bands. You've always been a big fan of boy bands. Long as I've known you, you've loved New Kids on the Block. You love Backstreet Boys. You've loved
Westlife.
Yeah, I was gonna say if I get too deep into naming ones, I get into a minefield because I might step on naming one that you don't like, and I'm not good at keeping them all separate. But so that goes to the point. I was gonna demonstrate boy bands are one of your favorite things in the world, but if I were to mention one named NSYNC, what would that do to you?
That turns me off completely. Yeah.
So
everything just dries up.
Even in a safe haven of that is Hailey's safe space. But if I mention NSYNC, now the hate switch has flipped. Tell us what's wrong with NSYNC. What the fuck did they ever do to you?
Oh Lord. Okay. So Justin is a prick, and Joey is too. The rest of them are okay, actually. And I think that JC's solo album is the best boy band solo album, quite honestly. So go listen to Schizophrenic if you haven't. But
so there's some happy there.
Yeah.
There's some happiness there amidst all the unhappy.
They were very rude, and they were very rude to their fans, and I just don't like them. Like Chris was nice to me. I will give him that, and he did smell nice. He was clean, but I just have beef in that way.
Well, see, now it's documented in published books like Britney Spears' most recent book, so you can cite chapter and verse about Timberlake being an asshole. But I was surprised because I like the Impractical Jokers, and Joey Fatone makes appearances on there, and he seems so funny, and I was like, surely Joey Fatone is safe. Fuck no, you were like, he can go to hell too. he's on my shit list.
He's friends with all the boy bands that I like, so he comes up in their stuff when they're palling around or whatever, and I'm just like, ugh, Joey, ugh. So
So we were talking earlier, you and I were talking about getting together and recording today and doing our episode of WNUT Talk. And I mentioned, we had just talked about on the last couple of episodes of WNUT some modern trends that we hoped would go away in the next 5 years. And I feel like on an episode where Hailey gets to hate more things, what would be some of your picks for modern trends, things that people are doing today, things that you see or you run across all the time that you're just like, fuck, we got to stop doing this as a society, as a group of motherfuckers who interact with one another in public places, whatever it may be. This is just unleash on us.
Okay. Well, you're asking for it.
Yeah.
So the first thing is people listening to their phones out loud.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
I hate that.
Yeah.
Music, conversations. Like I was hiking in Glacier National Park, and there was Justin Bieber's music just out loud.
Yeah.
And I was so angry. Like it just filled me with so much rage. that I had to just keep moving before I tracked the person down and pretended to be a bear because there were bears around there. So,
see, I had just read a response on the last episode, and immediately I thought of when Carl and I went to a concert over the summer. We went to see the band Ghost, and we were riding the MARTA in Atlanta back to where we had parked. And I was like, yeah, we just came across this. Then I remembered it wasn't even somebody letting us hear their fucking device. They had their device in their earbuds, but then they were either rapping along to what they were listening to or they were freestyling verses for us where we couldn't hear the music.
Whoa.
But they wanted us to have the benefit of hearing whatever the fuck they were rapping. So it was like,
oh my gosh.
I don't know which one I prefer, which one bothers me more. So what are some other things that you might think, this is some bullshit and we got to stop?
Okay, well, also AI everything. Particularly, there's those baby videos where they turn celebrities into babies who are, doing a scene from Friends or whatever the fuck they're doing. I don't like to watch these things because they're creepy. But also, what a waste of time. And there's also ones with present day celebrities hugging the younger versions of themselves.
Oh, now that I've seen. I was going to say, I haven't seen the baby versions of actors doing shit from their work.
You're lucky.
But the hugging your younger self, I have seen. I thought as a concept at first, I was like, this is kind of a cool art concept if we want to make a painting of that. But then just churning out fucking AI motion content of it time after time, that's tiresome as shit.
Yeah. And most of the time it looks weird. It's really obviously just wonky and wrong. And it creeps me out. It just frankly creeps me out. If someone painted it, okay, cool. That has actual skill behind it, and thought. Yeah. But these AI things just, a waste of time and creepy.
There was either a Photoshop version or digital art. Somebody had made one years ago that was Ozzy as he was in modern times, but he was kind of arm in arm with young Ozzy from the era of the first Black Sabbath album. And I remember Ozzy reacting to that and saying this is so cool to see. This shows the breadth of what my career's been, how far I've come. And I thought that was a really cool reaction. But then to just turn that into some shit that you can type up and just, the machine spits out new shit week after week, and then you just put it up for clicks. Fuck that.
Yeah, I mean, I bet on a personal level like that, it's really cool to see your younger self with your older self and think about how far you've come. But nobody's doing it for themselves. They're doing it of celebrities, which I think takes the meaning out of it.
Yeah, and that's obviously where people are going to get their clicks. That's something that I guarantee you my mom is sitting at home going oh, this is so cool. And then just clicking and then forwarding that to her friends. And it's no. I feel we have to educate the older people the way they used to have to educate us, when we were kids about don't talk to strangers and don't do this and don't take candy from whatever. We got to tell them now, you can't every one of these stupid things you see. And not every friend on your list needs a copy of it. So don't send it. Don't tag everybody in this dumb shit, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Well, Hailey and I are going to be right back to hate on some more things after these messages. So please don't go away.
Saturday nights at 10, WNUT becomes WJAZ, hosted by the jazz man Cool Cat K-Roz, playing all your favorite jazz hits.
Hey cats, I got smooth jazz, I got cool jazz, I got bebop, I got modal jazz, Dixieland and swing, and you know how we swing on WJAZ.
He's even got Queen's 1978 album Jazz when he's in the mood for fat bottom girls, which is often, but forget about that. And remember WJAZ every Saturday night at 10.
With me, the jazz man.
And always streaming on demand on the WNUT YouTube channel.
You are listening to WNUT. You are still with us here on WNUT Talk. I am Brandon, a.k.a. Stoney, and I have Hailey from the Hailey Hates Everything podcast. What is up, Hailey?
Hello.
So
back again.
Your show has been on a slight hiatus for a little bit. Can you tell us a little bit about kind of what prompted that, or maybe when we might get some fresh hate from Hailey and Sean, or what's going on in the podcast land in the beautiful Pacific Northwest there with the Hailey Hates Everything show?
Well, yeah, I'm really hoping that we are coming back in the new year. There was just a lot of life stuff and kind of changing different parts of life to be happier, because I put a lot of time and effort into what I thought everybody else wanted from me and not what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I feel like the pressure of that needed to subside in order for me to kind of take the reins back and reschedule everything and put more time towards, everything else I want to do too. So that kind of led to a lot of changes. And now I feel like things are back on an even footing where we have the time and effort to put into it.
I'm a super big believer in that. You and I have talked about that in the past, and I've said, look, you can't push yourself to a point where like you're miserable just because you feel like there's some kind of like deadline that is either imposed by other people, or you might feel some pressure from your own self to do things and create things. And I said, if you're not feeling it, you got to step back and you got to assess and you got to take care of you. And when you're ready, people are going to be ready to meet you there in that space and take that journey with you again. And we totally are. And I can't wait until that day comes. This is something that you've talked about on the show a lot. You've talked about taking care of yourself, and you've talked about like your own happiness and your own anxieties and things like that. So I'm very glad to hear that you've been taking that time and doing that. So that is very cool to hear.
Thank you. Yeah, it was really time to put that stuff into action. And you have always had really good advice for me and been very inspiring and helpful in that way too, of sort of helping me look at things in a different way and being an awesome friend. So thank you as well.
I'm kind of a goddamn genius, and people don't realize it enough. And so, after you come back and you get all these listeners and everybody's like, riding the Hailey Hates Everything train again, I want you to say like that genius, my friend Brandon, who you've heard on the show, if you ever need advice, just call the WNUT people. Lord, they'll hook you up. But in the meantime, I thought it would be perfect to just get you on here on WNUT Talk for some mini hates. You could just hate some things in the meantime during the hiatus. So I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad we can hate on things. You sent me some things to hate on today.
Ooh, I did.
Which I looked up, and boy, let me tell you, that was a fun journey. I will put links to these things in the description to wherever you're listening to this podcast. Check those links out if you want to hear some of the stuff. The first one that you sent me was a group called Five.
Yes.
And there was a song called Cold Sweat. I'm going to let you talk for a moment about what made you select that one, and then we will react.
Well, so, I self-imposed a theme because that helps me focus, and I'm sure you picked up on that. But Five is a British boy band. And to me, they're kind of like the UK NSYNC in that they had a lot more energy. They were a lot more bouncy, but they were unpolished. Yeah. And so just really fun. Not necessarily attractive, so I wasn't really into them like that. It was just like fun boy band pop, right?
Yeah.
It makes it a little more fun. Five recently got back together. They've been broken up for 25 years, and they announced their reunion last year and immediately announced a tour, while also bragging that it had been 25 years since they've been on stage or picked up a mic or all of this stuff. And then it wasn't until the tour started this year, like 2 months ago, a month before that is when they started rehearsing.
Well, so I looked them up when you sent me that, and I listened to that song. I actually looked them up and just kind of did a brief, not a deep dive, but a little brief dive into them. And I saw that for a while, they actually put a couple of albums out when they weren't, the all five of them. There were just like three members, I guess, that were still together and putting out some of these albums. Were they still called Five when they were putting albums out with three motherfuckers?
I don't even know. I don't even remember that, quite honestly, because they kept bragging about not being on stage.
Yeah, it went to on Wikipedia, you can look at like the band members and how they changed through the years. And there were two albums it showed where only three members were on them. And I was like, well, what the fuck are you doing if you're a band called Five? At least go hire some stand-ins or something.
Something.
It's like in your goddamn your name is 5 for fuck's sake. But anyway,
well, they count a lot in their songs. I tried to send you one that did not have counting or talking about getting up or getting down, because they do that a lot.
They're like the Sesame Street of boy bands. They like to. They're educational and entertaining.
Yes, and honestly, this is the best of the worst, because there's one called Mr. Z that's just about a man named Mr. Zeffalepa and about his shitty life, and then there's another one called Inspector Gadget that's about Inspector Gadget from the Matthew Broderick movie. And those were
Holy
so
Christ.
terrible. Like, there was no redeeming qualities that we could discuss. So I went with the best.
Well, so I listened to Cold Sweat, and it wasn't bad. I mean, it reminded me a lot of Bobby Brown's My Prerogative. You know, like that same kind of chord progression, that da 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 da. Like it would go down for a second, then right back up, and it was almost that same kind of a melody. So to me, it sounded, and this came out in what, like the late '90s, I guess.
Yes, 98, I believe.
Yeah, so it sounded to me like the next evolution of kind of that New Jack Swing sort of sound. It actually reminded me a lot of, what is it, Larger Than Life? That's the Backstreet Boys song that says, Can't you see, can't you see? It had that kind of thing where it goes into a minor key, or it plays with minor chords and stuff. And let me tell you, when boy bands start dicking around in minor keys, they're bad boys. So, but this was one of those. And I was like, okay, I mean, it's not something I would be like, let me listen to this on the way to my gig or anything. But I mean, I could definitely see the catchiness. I could feel it, So there is that.
Well, also, it's a song about like just getting down. Like, this guy's perving out on this hot ass chick, and it's called Cold Sweat, which I don't see as sexy.
Right.
I feel like that means you're ill.
Yeah, that's like a nervousness kind of thing, I would think.
Yeah, that really stood out to me. It's like, this doesn't feel sexy because he needs help,
No. Somebody needs to, help him through this difficult time that he's experiencing.
Yes. And my favorite lyric, I would have to say, is, I count the ounce in every bounce and I just want to feast.
Whoa.
And for whatever reason, that just cracked me up.
No, dog.
Yeah, I mean, the lyrics were just so insane to me, and I messaged my friend who we're both 5 fans, and we had a really good laugh about the lyrics.
Well, so I was thinking, okay, well, that's not a bad opener here. Like, I don't necessarily see why the host of the Hailey Hates Everything show would send me that song, but then there were some 98 Degrees videos that you sent me. The first one, they were, for some reason, covering Sisqó's Thong Song.
Yeah.
And apparently they were doing this recently. This was like in 2025.
Yes.
This was happening.
This is over the summer, I believe.
Why?
So they're touring. Don't ask me why. Okay. So me and 98 Degrees also have beef. We don't get along. And my friends and I actually call them 72 Below because they're not hot to us. And,
Jesus Christ.
And I will take any opportunity to talk shit about Nick Lachey.
Well, this gives you some opportunity, because let me tell you, I couldn't understand what I was seeing. It wasn't necessarily like I didn't approve of what I was seeing, or I was in disbelief at what I was seeing. I was like, why is this even happening?
Well, you should definitely disapprove of it.
I mean,
that's the whole...
what I'm saying is what I felt went beyond disapproval. Of course there was disapproval, but like that doesn't touch the emotion I was feeling.
Okay, I thought you were being too nice, and I was like, dude, I hate this too. Like, you can talk shit about it.
No, this was like, so it got to the part where I guess he's talking about the dumps like a truck, and they repeat words, and every member had to activate to do his part, like they were standing still, and they would do that weird little thing where they would come to life, and I was like, stop, you're in your 50s. What the fuck is this?
They're so stiff. Like, there is no movement. And the one with the bucket hat, I call him Kmart Dad because that's what he looks like. It was just like, there's no finesse, there's no energy. There's no sexuality.
I don't think I even registered that there was a motherfucker wearing a bucket hat. I don't think that even occurred to me. And in 2025, you should not be doing that.
I agree. It's so disturbing. And actually, I sent you these because my friend asked me, he saw these videos, and he asked me at Friendsgiving, actually, is that what a boy band concert is like? And I was extremely offended.
Yeah.
And no, this is what a 98 Degrees concert is like. This is not what a good boy band concert is like. So I just want to make sure everybody knows that it's way better than this if they see these videos.
Well, yeah, you said these things because the thong song wasn't all. You also sent me one where they had to do, for whatever reason, they felt compelled to do Pretty Fly for a White Guy by the Offspring.
Yeah.
And I don't understand. I just don't. Like, they weren't even... Okay, so there's the part in the beginning of the song where a girl says, "Give it to me, baby." And that is not a band member impersonating a woman. They just play a sample or they have a woman say that on the track. Not 98 Degrees.
Nope.
One of them went into falsetto and said, "Give it to me, baby." And, like, they couldn't just play a fucking sample or higher. It was the most awkward shit I've ever seen. Then they fucking start singing the lyrics and they're not on the beat. And whoever decides to sing the verse, I don't know these members' names, they're like shouting what the verse sounds like in their head, and it sounds nothing like A, the original song, B, music. It was just fucking terrible. I'm like, just use your register. Wherever your register is, just sing it there. Don't feel like you have to shout it way above where your voice sounds natural. Nothing about this was good. And that's not surprising because we're talking about 98 Degrees, but what the fuck? Why can't they just do their music? Why'd they have to go into a medley of roundabout 2000-ish songs?
Well, yeah, that's what I asked too. Like, no one loved them enough to tell them this was a bad idea to just do their own songs. And when I was getting the links for you, they also did a Backstreet Boys song in the same tour. Like in this whole medley part.
Does anybody go to see... Who goes to see 98 Degrees and they're like, man, I hope they do an Offspring song tonight.
Right.
The Offspring...
It was like if somebody's drunk uncle had a budget for karaoke, but they don't have a budget for their tour.
On the Offspring's first album, they had a song called Beheaded. This is not a band I would think in 98 Degrees would need to cover.
No.
Like, what the fuck do they have in common? So then we move on to, there was a Stormtrooper video that you sent me, which was like an AI thing that was supposed to look like it was shot as a Star Wars movie would be. But it's a boy band Stormtrooper thing about how they can't believe they got easily tricked by the Jedi mind trick when they were looking for the droids in Mos Eisley in the first movie.
Yeah.
So why does this exist?
Right?
What made you pick this one to send to your dear friend Brandon?
I mean, I hate the AI everything, like I said.
Yeah.
But they, the same account has some Rasta Lord of the Rings ones where they're all smoking weed and like Snoop Dogg is kind of like the Gandalf. And I like watching those when I'm high because they're just really funny. But then I found this one because it's in my boy band theme for you. And it just fit, and it had all the little tropes of like splashing in the water and the formation dances and the little matching outfits. I didn't know which one your favorite would be.
Well, the AI almost got it right at one point. It shows them sitting on like one of the troop carriers or whatever, and he's like polishing his weapon, but he's polishing an actual like AR-15. I'm like, they don't have bullets in the Star Wars galaxy. This is not a blaster. What the fuck? So there's that. But do you remember like 20 years ago, there was a thing called Star Wars gangsta rap, and it was real big?
No. It rings no bells.
Yeah, so like around 2003 or 4, there was this thing, I think it was on Newgrounds, this website that I would be surprised if it still exists. And it was Star Wars gangster rap. It was somebody who wrote these verses for each character in the Star Wars universe. And it was just like them being braggadocious. And they were talking about like, you know, the plot of Star Wars. And each one had like attitude and shit. And somebody had to write these verses, impersonate all of these characters, and then animate this flash video themselves.
Wow.
And now there's this clown sitting there typing some shit into an AI and having it spit this garbage out. And I'm just thinking about not how far we've come in 20 years, how far we've regressed in 20, like how far we've come in not even needing talent anymore to just spit out some bullshit to put out and go, hopefully this goes viral.
Yeah, cool. It's so sad. Yeah. It makes me sad. It's hard to make it funny.
Yeah. And then the last thing you sent me was something called Klingon Doomgrass. Mm-hmm. Talk about that a little bit.
I thought you would actually like this.
Yeah, I've got something to say there.
It won't surprise you that my co-host found that one and sent it to me.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, I actually like this. This is fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's kind of sexy. So I thought it might be really fun for you.
It was supposed to be like a Star Trek Klingon or like a band of them playing sort of this like folkish, moody kind of bluegrass music, right? Mm-hmm. Like banjos and stuff. Now, what you'll be happy to learn is that actually does sound like a style of music that exists right now called folk metal. And Carl and I have talked about seeing a band called The Who, not The Who like my generation, but The Who, HU. And they're a Mongolian folk metal band. And they opened for Iron Maiden when we saw Iron Maiden a little more than a year ago. And they sound a lot like that. It's like a very kind of, it's like metal is almost a deceptive way to put it because it's like a harder kind of sound, but there's a lot of like folk, banjos, stringed instruments, things I don't even know the names of. Like they just use it so well and they incorporate it into this like darker, sort of moodier sound. But if you liked Klingon Doomgrass, I think you might like to listen to some folk metal for that reason.
Well, I'm definitely going to look that up now. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. Comparatively, it's a popular sound. I'm not going to say it's popular like, Taylor Swift is popular, but comparatively to certain things out there, like certain little subgenres of things, like folk metal is getting some respect, and you're seeing more of that out there. So definitely check that out. And the band that, like I said, the one that I would recommend is The Who, the HU. They I didn't understand a goddamn word they were saying, so it'll fit right with like the Klingon language music that you had sent me. But that one didn't exactly seem odd to me for that reason. I had seen a band like that live a little more than a year ago.
Very cool.
Were any of my takes on these surprising to you? Like the fact that I didn't hate 5, for example?
Yeah, actually, that really surprised me because I thought you would have more to say. I knew you were going to hate the 98 Degrees stuff because that needs to be hated. But really the 5 thing really surprised me the most.
Yeah, there was nothing in the 98 Degrees that we need as a society. We pretty much can just, we can delete that shit.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're going to take another break here in just a moment. But before we go, I wanted to ask you a quick question that we discussed on the most recent episode, the Half-Assed Holiday Hoedown 2. We asked, should restaurants today have children and no children sections, like they used to have smoking and non-smoking sections way back in the before times? What is your take on that?
I think there should absolutely be kids-free sections in every place of business that exists.
I had a sneaking suspicion that you might be along with us on this one.
Yes, I think there should be child-free nights. Like our zoo will have child-free nights where there's like cider things and you can go look at the animals and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's awesome. I fully participate in that. Some of the people get drunk and they're like giant children, but that's better than sticky fingers,
Because punk asses don't be controlling their kids anymore.
Yeah, no, they don't.
I ain't got no fucking time for that. I don't care where I'm at. But anyway. All right, we are going to take a brief commercial break. Please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Hailey and Hating More Things right here on WNUT Talk.
I'm Tom Bodett for Motel 6. Have you noticed prices just keep on rising while Motel 6 still has the same room rate we've always had? That's because we don't get all fancy with the decor. We still have the same carpet we've always had, with skeet stains going back to 1987 and beds so hard you can forge steel on them. Sure, we could put in some nice hardwoods and get you a more form-fitting mattress, but then where would you take that hooker at 3 a.m. when you've struck out with every rat at that dive bar? Hey, what happens at Motel 6 stays at Motel 6, usually on the bedspreads and in that old-ass carpet. So stop in and bring $50 or $60 and we'll leave the light on for you.
This is the Great Fish Niz on WNUT, making your girlfriend wet.
Whoa, hey now.
Whoa. What?
This is WNUT Talk. You are listening to me, Brandon. The Great Fish Niz is not here. Guess who's here? It's Hailey. Hailey from the Hailey Hates Everything podcast. We are catching up while her podcast is on a little bit of a hiatus right now. We're learning some things that she's been hating on recently, like 98 Degrees singing some shit in concert they don't need to be doing, and some interesting Star Wars music that honestly shouldn't exist. And if it weren't for the modern advent of AI, it wouldn't exist. Hailey, I've got some mini hates. We're going to talk about some hate updates, if you will.
All right.
That you guys have discussed in the past on the Hailey Hates Everything podcast. And I'd like to get you to talk to these fine people about a few of these topics. For example, you did an episode where you talked about modern slang, motherfuckers saying things were sus, and talking about no cap and all that shit. You already sound excited.
Yeah.
So are you still hearing those terms as frequently as you used to, sus and no cap, or do you feel like they've kind of gone away?
Well, I don't feel like I hang with the children enough to pick up on the words and the slang.
Yeah. That's because you've been going to those restaurants that have the no children section.
Right,
so you're
right.
good.
So I don't have to worry about it. But the circles I roll in are more like, Gaga-centric. And so there's a whole separate array of words that I have to learn over there. So thankfully, I don't have to worry about the whole 6-7 thing or whatever the hell is happening with the children.
That is exactly what I was going to bring up. 6-7 is driving so many people I know crazy right now. Either people who are parents of kids or they are teachers, and 6-7 is fucking inescapable. And, at least that one's harmless. Like, it's literally anti-humor, so it doesn't refer to anything. Like, I'll take that over some of the shit that that people want to turn into slang. How about skibbity? Like, you guys did your show before skibbity became like the most popular thing on the planet.
I've seen comedians or like even I don't know if it was the show I watched. They talked about a skibbity toilet, and I don't know what that is. And I don't know if that's what skibbity is supposed to be in the toilet, but
I think it came from that, and it's just a disturbing looking image. If I remember correctly, it's like a dude's head like sticking out of a toilet, but I don't understand where that came from or why it became a thing. Honestly, all it takes is like one or two people to just go like, yeah, this is so hilarious. And then, hive mind sets in. But yeah, apparently from that, like skibbity just became an adjective, I guess, that they would apply to shit. And I was like, man, if Hailey had just waited a little longer to do the Hates Everything episode on slang, this would probably have made the list.
Is it supposed to be good or bad?
I think it can be anything. I've most often heard it applied to like negative. It's not a good thing.
Okay. I feel like if your head's in a toilet, that's definitely negative.
Yeah, but see, like when they use it, it doesn't necessarily refer to that particular image.
Oh, it's not
like
toilet
it came
related?
From there.
It's just toilet adjacent?
That's just the thing that's the meme that introduced it, I guess. But then it just took on a life of its own.
Okay.
So yeah, there was that. Another one that I had wanted to bring up, you mentioned this one yourself. You were like, please ask me about fanny packs, because you had done an episode talking about your hatred of fanny packs. And let me just make a shameless plug. If you'd like a nice fashionable WNUT fanny pack, we have one at WNUTshop.com. But so now for fanny packs, what are your thoughts on this in good old 2025 going on 2026?
That was very smooth. You just do your little thing in there.
I know.
Okay, well, now I'm going to tell everyone, this is why everyone should not buy the fanny pack. So I stand by it. I don't think anyone should be wearing fanny packs, but I did have to buy one.
Yeah.
Because I started a garden this year and I needed a hands-free option. And when you're looking for gardening shit, there's nothing for anyone who's not an 80-year-old cat lady. And that's not me. And so I finally found a purple metallic fanny pack. Right. Ooh, I found it on HSN. Don't sleep on HSN. And
That will go well with your purple WJAZ shirt that you have,
That's
also from WNUTshop.com.
absolutely true. And I love my t-shirt. Go buy the t-shirts for sure. And if you want the fanny pack, use it in the garden.
Just another plug. Back to what you
Or
were saying.
maybe if you're working out. That's it. Otherwise, why are you doing that? There's no point. No.
Yeah.
And also, I will add to that, leggings aren't pants. They're an accessory, not an item of clothing like in that way. They should be like tights or a hat, you're throwing on.
Yeah.
And unless you're working out. So I just want to mention that too.
Yeah, I understand that. I think that kind of goes into the same categories like people that just want to wear pajama pants everywhere.
Yeah.
Like you're just being lazy. The legging thing, sure, it can look great or it cannot, but you're also just deciding, you're making the choice not to pick an outfit. You're just like, I don't want to change out of this. I'm going to live my life in it.
Yes.
So fuck that nonsense. I saw a thing recently when I was scrolling Facebook mindlessly about your hydration hack, and it was an advertisement to buy a big ass bottle of water that goes on like those water coolers on job sites, And I remember thinking like, oh shit, they have hacked thirst by learning that you can drink water. That's a really cool thing to know.
It's really, really cool, right? No one would have thought about that till now.
Right. You guys talked about hacks on one of your episodes, and you were the first person I thought of. I was like, I bet Hailey doesn't know about this clever hack for thirst or hydration.
I hadn't heard about that. I mean, I thought a water bottle that you just take with you was good enough, but now they're hacking the water bottle, and that's bananas.
Yeah. That was like, oh God, I quoted it back when we talked about it, but on one of WNUT's episodes, either last year or the year before, I talked about a Burger King commercial that mentioned that your hack was that you could just eat the food they sold. And I was like, oh man.
Oh my God.
So if you're hungry, it was your hunger hack, and it was just to order some food.
To eat.
I was like, fucking crazy. Eat. You got people out there on the front lines doing this hard work, learning how to beat these problems that we face as a society.
Has the definition of hack changed? Because I just feel like people don't understand that it does mean something specific.
Yeah.
And they're just doing things that already exist and calling it a hack because they just discovered how to be a person,
It might not have changed, but the hacks that I'm seeing are at least getting easier. Because I mean, like, you used to have to put shit together and set an alarm or something, and then like a Rube Goldberg device would go off, and that was your hack. But this is simple shit. This is just like eat and drink, and this hacks these problems that we face. So hacks are getting easier. I can say that, whether or not the definition changed. But now you mentioned yawn shaming. Tell me about this.
So old people do this all the time, and it's if you're in a setting, you're talking to people, and someone yawns, and inevitably there is an old white lady who goes, "Oh, don't do that. We're all gonna do it now."
Oh, okay, yeah. Now that I have heard,
and
yeah.
It is so annoying.
Like the whole the cute thing about like, oh, you're gonna start a chain reaction and we're all gonna be yawning. Well, then fuck it. Here we go.
Yeah, or they'll start yawning and they'll be like, "Look what you started," and I cannot stand that.
Just next time, look her right in the face and go, "That's right, bitch," and I'll do it again.
I should. I'll tell you how that goes.
Look at her and go, "I have that kind of power. Don't fuck with me." That's Uncle Ben told us that with great power comes great responsibility. So think about that next time you have to yawn in a public place. And you, before we got started here on this very episode, mentioned something that concerns you lately is short women dating really tall men. Well, and I have to hear more.
Well, that's concerned me my whole life because I've always been taller as a chick.
Yeah.
I'm 5'9", and there's so many of these like 5'1" chicks who will date these 6'2" dudes, and it pisses me off. Okay, because there's already like, not that I need to date now, but I used to, and there's already a short pool of tall men. Okay, it's very small.
Yeah,
and so when the little chicks come out, that's when I just get really pissed off, because you need to be height proportioned, and especially when there's already not that many tall dudes. Back up, short bitches.
So your concern is not like, okay, when it comes time for the two of you to say do the nasty, how are you going to line up? That's not where your concern is. Your concern is, hey, leave some dudes for the rest of us, for our height differential.
Well, I think the lining up aspect is more about why the tall dude is dating the short girl. So that I don't, it is more about the pool is small, leave some for the tall chicks. Yeah, absolutely.
See, I feel like the lining up is going to be a problem for these couples. Like if it's sort of what I'm picturing that you're describing, because there is quite a difference in these couples that I see. And yeah, I would think lining up would be an issue. There'd be nothing appealing about that, right? Like when it gets right down to it.
Yeah, I just feel like there's not really any, personal connection in that sense.
You got to fucking get a messenger to send word down to your lady wherever the fuck she is, like in a different time zone, in that instance. I can't imagine that it's the most convenient sexy time to have.
Yeah, I agree.
But anyway. Well, Hailey, thank you for joining us here on WNUT Talk. It's been a pleasure having you here. And if you ever want to get on here with us again, hate some more things, just, flex those hate muscles. You say the word, because we got an open door policy for Hailey from the Pacific Northwest anytime you want to be here.
Thank you so much. I had so much fun. I appreciate you having me, and I'll absolutely be on again.
And I might even send you one of those fanny packs. But in the meantime, what everybody needs to do is go on and find WNUT Talk everywhere that you normally get your favorite podcast. You need to listen to back episodes. You need to study up on WNUT Talk. You need to get caught up and listen to WNUT, the flagship show, WNUT After Dark, WJAZ featuring the Jazz Man. Those are all streaming on our YouTube channel at The Real WNUT, and you can listen at live365.com or the free Live 365 app. If you just search WNUT on either one of those places, it comes right up. We will join you next time when who the hell knows what the topic will be, because I never do. Hailey, say goodbye to these fine people for us.
Bye, everybody.